I've always been pro-life. Like I've been consistently pro-life since I was, you know.
I did not expect you to say that. I want to like defend woke culture because I feel, and I'm critical of it too.
Yeah.
Because we cannot call ourselves the Woke Up Show and say that, oh, woke culture is like perfect, because it's not. Hi everyone, I'm Apshi.
I'm Roeshan.
And welcome to the Woke Up Show. Okay, we just started, but thank you for coming on my show. Firstly, thank you so much. And I know I reached out to you like ages ago, and I'll just tell you because I heard it on that episode. I did not reach out to you for any specific reason. It just didn't come up. And since last season, we decided every season we'll have like one podcast come on our show. We had Yamcha last time, so I thought,
I thought I scared you off.
No way, I don't scare that easy lah. And I watched the episode that you said that you were not being woke, and I didn't think you were very unwoke in that episode.
Yeah, it's kind of weird lah. I sort of don't know how to categorize myself.
Yeah, do you think you're woke?
I think I'm woke, but I don't think I support the movement
of woke.
Yeah,
culture.
It's the same thing with like feminism. Like I consider myself a feminist, but I don't like the baggage that comes.
Wow, we really got right into it.
No, it's like Neil deGrasse Tyson also says the same thing. He says, I don't like to call myself an atheist because it comes with all the baggage of being called an atheist. He said, like, I don't believe in God, but at the same time, I don't like to call myself an atheist because I don't really...
this is the labels.
Yeah, and I don't affiliate myself with like Richard Dawkins and Sam Harris.
Yeah.
You know, they have like a very anti-religious view.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that you can't, like, sometimes people perceive you as, I believe in this, therefore I'm a feminist, therefore I'm anti-men. I'm an atheist, therefore I'm anti-religion. But like sometimes atheism, it kind of acts like a religion in a way, don't you think?
Yeah.
The way that it's like subscribed to and the way they look down on people who, not all of them, but some people
Yeah,
can.
like, I mean, there are some people like, I mean, you take the extremes like Richard Dawkins, Sam Harris, or Christopher Hitchens. If you don't think religion is stupid, then you're part of the problem. Whereas there are a lot of people actually, I think most people feel like, most people who are agnostic or even atheistic, they're more like, it's not for me. You do what you do to make you happy.
I think everybody should do that, right? It just shouldn't be about, especially with religion or not believing, it's about you. It's like literally not about anybody else, your relationship with God.
Yeah, but like the hardcore atheists, especially like in the early 2010s, I suppose, their view is like religion does more harm than good. And so because it does more harm, then we have to like destroy it lah. So that's why, and I feel like with woke culture, feminism, there is also this type of baggage that I don't subscribe to.
Okay.
So I try to be a good person.
Yeah.
But then I think these movements are a bit weird.
Okay, we'll get into it in a bit lah. But first I want to ask you about yourself. So you started podcasting in 2020.
Yeah.
So was it like a long time coming for you and then in lockdown it was like, okay, let's go for it? Or did you just think about it then?
No, I thought about it for a long time. I love conversations. I just listen to.
Podcasters love to talk. Like that's what we do.
But we also love to listen. I think we love to hear, and there's type of conversations that are really authentic. Like I know that you're a big fan of Tiger Belly. I'm also a big fan of Tiger Belly. Right, and the reason why is because I'm so amazed that this group of people can talk, and it can be so spontaneous, and so like they can pull you in.
And you just like them, and because even Bobby Lee, like he's the slut king, like I love him. In all his like imperfections, right? Exactly.
And so Tiger Belly is quite recent for me, but like going back to when I was a teenager, maybe it was like talk show hosts like David Letterman, but not so much David Letterman, but really more Conan, Craig Ferguson. Then that became like I think the Breakfast Club. Or even watching like weird things like Inside the Actors Studio. I don't know whether you know about that. It's this guy, James Lipton. He just passed away. He's like this really classically trained actor. But he's a bit more elderly. I think he was in his 60s and he was the director or headmaster of this like Pace University. Bradley Cooper went to that university.
Pace University in New York?
Yep.
Oh my God, my best friend went there.
Yeah, exactly. So he was like the main principal kind of guy. So they used to do like interviews with actors and it would be this long form like they cut it down for TV, but even the cut down is like 3-4 hours.
Wow,
but it's really long because they have a Q&A and everything.
There is something to long form conversation that you just, because like I always say there's like a sweet spot 20 minutes in when everybody kind of like forgets the cameras are here and everything, and then you can really talk.
Yeah.
And then that is something I feel like you just can't get with the like interviews. With the podcast, like I'm also talking, you're also talking, and if I reveal something about myself, it sometimes makes you a bit more comfortable to reveal it to me as well, and it's that balance.
Yeah. And by the end of it, you're like, time just went by.
Oh my god, with the Yamcha boys, I think we were here for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and at the end I was like, oh, actually my show is 45 minutes to an hour.
I was in the office when I listened to that episode, and legit, I was laughing out loud while I was listening to the episode.
I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah, really. Like,
no, MC Black though, he's so funny.
When he said that, I had an LGBTQ experience, and then everybody turned and looked at him. It's like, I've been touched by it. And then, because it comes from such a sincere place.
He was just so like vulnerable and honest, and I was like, cute. So it was the lockdown that kind of pushed you to start Rumah Roy?
The lockdown really pushed me to like, it was like, what am I doing? Like, have I really accomplished anything?
But were you working full time then as well?
Yeah, I was working full time. But of course, when you're working from home, so you have, just cutting out your traveling time, you have so much more hours.
Yeah.
And the courts shut down.
Okay.
So a lot of our cases got postponed as well. So because of that, I had a little bit more time.
A lighter load. But lawyers, like, I have a friend who she just quit. Like, she's a lawyer, just quit it because she's like, can't do it anymore. It's like super heavy, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Like, insane hours, all of that. But lockdown, no.
Lockdown, it lessened, I would
but
suppose.
Still.
But then it came back with a vengeance, because you just postpone all the cases, and then after that, when you go back and the courts open up, and then they come back, suddenly you have
everything was meant to go on eventually.
Yeah. And the courts also really suffered because, like, if you wanted to fix a case, you would only be able to do the trial maybe like 8 months down the road because the court schedule was packed.
Yeah.
So it was a nightmare after. It was nice during. As always, I'm famous for always telling my friends I have procrastinated my work to future Roeshan Gomez. And future
exactly. That's a tomorrow me problem.
Yeah, future Roeshan Gomez always hates past Roeshan Gomez. But anyway,
it's like when you make yourself breakfast the night before and you're like, I love yesterday me. But then sometimes when you fuck your latest stuff, you're like, oh god. But so I think it was your first podcast. You started off by saying like, I'm not Roeshan Gomez the lawyer. I'm Roeshan Gomez a lawyer. Like, how do you feel about like? Do you think that we are like so defined by what we do nowadays?
I think in our culture, definitely.
In Malaysia?
Yeah, I think output is really important.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay.
And I think with my age particularly, I don't know how old you are.
How old are you?
30.
I'm 26.
Yeah,
so similar.
Yeah. So a lot of people measure and compare. Like that's a big problem, comparing. Like
that's an Asian thing, right?
Yeah. Like just yesterday I was talking to one of my colleagues and we were talking about a mutual friend who's working in Singapore. And just comparing that person's life seems to be in so much order and the trajectory seems to be moving so nicely for that person. It's just about time for that person to start a family and things like that.
Oh my God,
then we compare ourselves. I think sometimes maybe women feel that this is exclusively something that they go through, but men go through it as well.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, so you think like, my life is in so much of disorder, and like when am I going? I'm going to be like 45 when I get married, and how old I'm going to be like 80 when my kid is like 15, and
those fears are real. Yeah.
So I think a lot of people compare in terms of like status, wealth. We say like people follow their passions. We say that's cool, but I don't know. Like, I don't think a lot of people would do it. I think a lot of people just follow the fixed route.
The fixed path. Like, even I was recently in Europe on holiday and I went on a date with this guy and I was like, oh, what do you do? And he was just like, huh? And I was like, what do you mean? And he was just like, I like to read. I like to... And I was like, Europeans, you ain't like us. I mean, what do you do for your job? And he was just like, oh, like, that's not what I do.
Yeah, Malaysians would be like, that's a red flag. Why are you being so shady?
Like, do you not have a job?
Yeah, you must be bumming around. You're not productive. You can't provide for me.
But I was like, damn, like if someone asked me what I do, I'd immediately say, Yuzu media, podcast, do some social media work, like stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
But I don't think that's good though. I feel like we are more than that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we are heavily defined by what we do because like 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, we are doing this. So who we are outside our work is smaller than who we are while we work. But don't we like do our work in order to be who we want to be? Yeah,
like I think it's always a balance. I think that being productive is not a bad thing.
No, not at all.
Encouraging people to be productive or even to pursue high income careers is not a bad thing. But I think reducing everything to one thing is a bad thing.
Completely.
Yeah, and just you defining yourself based on your career is also a bad thing, because the truth is we're all human beings. One day you're going to grow old, and then your career is not going to matter so much when you're older. And so at that time, and by that time it might be too late for you to have built, or it would be more difficult to build a legacy that you can be proud of that is beyond your career.
But how much do you think it even matters, your legacy? You know what I mean?
When I mean legacy, it's more like when I die and I look back,
you do something.
I do something, For some people, maybe a career is sufficient, right?
True that.
For some people, it's like I've, equipped my children and I've, set them out to the world to do good. For some people, it's just like I've created something. I wrote a book.
That would be amazing, right?
Yeah, that would be amazing. Yeah. Actually, I think that's one of my... If I could write a book...
What's stopping you?
Life.
Isn't it like that? That's what I always say. Like, I want to write short stories. Like, why didn't you do it? I'm like, I hate that question because there's no reason. And it's just me.
I was just thinking about this. It's funny you're talking about this because I was thinking about this the other day. Like, if I had a to-do list now, because when you're younger, it's the basic stuff. But now at I just turned 30. So like, would I revise it? And I thought about it and I would. Some of it I would. Like one thing I put on, which like surprising was, I want to make like someone cry. But like, as in like, I want to write something that makes someone cry. Like to, write something so raw that you evoke an emotion. That would be like really, really cool.
I'm a crier in general, but when you read books and they can move you into tears and like, it's a slow burn. It's not so easy to cry reading a book because it's like, it's a slow burn, but I love to read, so I feel you. That's like, that's goals. Like, I don't even know how the authors are able to do that.
It's difficult. I've tried. I'll try like, and just one paragraph is so difficult. It's crazy.
And if you read sometimes, like I really like Margaret Atwood, and I've read her one book many, many times, and every time I'm like, literary genius. The way she understands English is so insane. Every word choice is so intentional. Like, I can never do that. And I immediately feel so like, I can't do it.
Yeah. Or even things like callbacks and like one book that I really liked when I was younger. It's a really like macho kind of masculine type of warrior kind of book, right? But I read it as a teenager. The author is David Campbell. He's a very famous fantasy writer in the UK back in the day, and his books are basically the same kind of idea of this hero who has to chain in their passions, and usually they have to like sacrifice themselves for the greater good kind of stories. But there's one book in particular, I reread it a few times, and I would actually get different messages from it. Like suddenly, like when I read it recently, I was like, this book is actually about fear. Like all these characters are actually dealing with fear, but in different ways.
It's how it affects you at different points in your life, and the varied layers that you can only get after reading it, like your second read or your third read.
Yeah, that's amazing. And that's what makes a book read. I think everybody can just put words to paper. But to have a message, something to tell, and to weave language to let that come up is like very, very...
And it's just the detail. Like sometimes I'm reading and I'm like, I feel like I'm watching it. Oh, it's so good.
There's something different about books and movies, I don't know. Yeah.
So do you think, right, you were speaking earlier about like, the late night hosts, right? Do you think that now, I kind of feel like late night is slowly, like, do you think it's dying a little bit?
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
TV is dying pretty much.
Yeah, well, TV is morphing into something else. I think maybe the talk shows have morphed into maybe podcasting.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Do you think that from late night now we're going into podcasting? Because like Tiger Belly, for example, or even like Joe Rogan, I have a lot of opinions about Joe Rogan, but like it's like a thing to go on Rogan, or like a thing to get to go on Tiger Belly and all these different podcasts. Like it's kind of replacing late night in a sense, right?
So like late night, the godfather of late night is Johnny Carson. So he was the Jay Leno took over from. There was a big, this talk show, there's this big drama actually. So basically, there was Johnny Carson who was like, he made people's career. So like, Eddie Murphy did stand up on Johnny Carson's show. So every time Johnny Carson waves, then you're done. Your career is guaranteed.
You're good to go.
So it was Ellen, Eddie Murphy, all these like really famous comedians, Jim Carrey.
Like hugely famous.
But their starting point was Johnny Carson. So Johnny Carson was supposed to pass it on to David Letterman. They had and
then Jay Leno.
Jay Leno masuk. And so then David Letterman went to CBS. So anyway, then this whole, everything cascades from there. But why I'm saying this is because a lot of people now compare Rogan to Johnny Carson, because now if you can get onto Rogan, if you have a book to sell and you get on Rogan, it is going to sell.
True.
Like if you go on, your followers go up by like 1 million or something crazy like that. So in many ways now, he is the new Carson.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan's following is larger than network shows.
Joe Rogan's Spotify deal is larger than most deals out there. Like, and that's for a reason. Companies like Spotify, they don't make decisions like that simply, and that kind of money doesn't get spent simply on a podcast, especially. But there's a reason, and like, I respect Joe Rogan. I'm a hater a little bit, but
look, I'm not the biggest Joe Rogan fan, but there are some like one thing Rogan did that was really cool was that he would get unique people to come on as guests. So like paleontologists, and he'll do like 4-hour episodes with a paleontologist. Who did that? No one.
And because he can, like people will listen for 4 hours because it is Joe Rogan, don't you think?
I think he started off just doing conversations that he wanted to do, and then it was so novel, so new, and he was early. So then people just like.
I mean, also in Malaysia, right? If you look at the podcasting scene here, like how many YouTube podcasts are there in Malaysia? Would you say there's like? I feel like I've tried and follow everybody I find on Instagram, but there just isn't that many, and I feel like it's also mostly men in Malaysia. I think it's only the other female podcaster that this YouTube that I know of is like Maggie Wang. But is there anybody else that you know of?
Well, Seek to Speak.
Seek to Speak is also
I'm very close to
but she doesn't do video, right?
She's
Spotify, right?
She's Spotify. I think she did initially do video, but she stopped.
And has she been posting Seek to Speak?
She has a baby now.
Okay.
She just
she's a little distracted. Fair enough.
And she, I mean, real respect to her. She went to IVF to get her child and everything.
Wow.
So it was a whole thing. But also Seek to Speak morphed into like more than a podcast. It became
like
really a community. So like now, Women with Words and all this. So like literally she has a huge group of young ladies and women who like help her so
I need to hit her up lah. I need
I will gladly
please connect me.
I'm very close to her.
Yeah, because I always feel like it's like such a boys club. Like I'm just like, hey guys, like welcome my show.
Right. For people who are listening to my podcast, like they took the time to listen to the podcast. I appreciate
for our podcast.
I appreciate them, and some of them, actually the most like loyal like supporters, majority is very odd, but have been women. And so like I don't want to like why would I want to hurt people who have taken so much of time to listen? So I am empathetic and sensitive to also the people who are listening to my podcast.
And also I feel like, even like with the different podcasts and all, like Let's Get It and Woke Up Show have friendly beef, Like it's still like I will still follow them and subscribe to their channel because I want to see the podcast industry do well in Malaysia. And I can see like it's just starting.
I don't think you all had beef lah, to be honest.
Friendly beef lah.
I think even when you call them out, like I really feel like Let's Get It and Yamcha Sessions were like, I understand why, but just I'm surprised by the reaction lah, because it was pretty intense. But even when you call them out, you were like, you said
I was trying to be nice.
Yeah, you said you didn't want them cancelled. I appreciated that. And also having Yamcha Sessions on was also good.
Yeah, that was, but also that was just luck. Like we already planned with Yamcha Session. Then I saw this, and I remember when I saw that clip, I woke up in the morning, I was like, oh my god, look at this. And I sent it to my friend. I was like, I'm going to post a video. And she was like, aren't those guys coming on your podcast? I was like, it's fine, we'll talk about it.
That's so funny. It's so funny. Yeah.
But it was okay lah. I mean, I feel like once you sit and have a conversation with someone, you can kind of just... I also really feel like I want to like defend woke culture because I feel, and I'm critical of it too, because we cannot call ourselves the Woke Up Show and say that woke culture is like perfect, because it's not. There's like a whole spectrum of it, and like I think that cancel culture is, I just don't believe that it's even real. Like I think even if we say Woke Up Show is cancelled, in 2 months we can come back with a new episode, everybody forget that we were cancelled.
Okay, I can disprove this lah.
But wait, what do you have to disprove? I'm curious, because this is just like what I've seen in the media.
Okay, maybe I can just say what I think is the biggest problem with woke culture.
Yeah.
I don't know whether this is a little bit too deep, but I really thought about this for a long time, because there was like a gut feeling in me that something didn't fit. And then I realized a big problem with woke culture, and again, let me start off by saying that people who are altruistic and just want a better world, that's fine. and I'm with you. I want a better world. I want people to thrive. But I think the way we get there is important, because I think a big problem with woke culture, and it's something that is not so obvious on the surface, is that everything is based on oppressor and oppressee.
Okay.
It's like Marxism, but like on adrenaline. It's like taken it to like a different level. And you can see it, you can see in the language. Sometimes why does certain things apply? Like when we talk about race, okay, we say that, okay, minorities can't be spoken about in a particular way. But white people we can speak about in this particular way. And you can only justify that when you put it through the frame of oppressor, oppressee. White people oppress minorities.
Yeah.
So if we talk about white people and the color of their skin, it's fine because they're oppressors. But when we talk about minorities, it's not okay. And then when there's a group that doesn't fit, like Asian people, because Asian people are doing well, then they're white adjacent. They have to be lumped in the oppressor group.
Yeah, because when I saw in America, they put the based on the race, like the median income, it's like American Indians, like our kind of Indian, like they are the richest.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, even richer than the white people there.
Yeah.
So it was just, that was quite curious. I felt that.
Even like Chinese Americans are suing Ivy League schools because of like equitable principle, affirmative policies. So Harvard is being sued because you have Chinese students who do so well, but they can't get into Harvard because of this affirmative policy, because there's too many Chinese people getting into Ivy League schools. So, but because of that, you can't put them in oppressee, you have to put them in oppressor, then it's okay. And I even see it, I can give you examples. Look at words like Karen. It's funny, it's joke, right? But I don't like to use it because actually Karen is a derogatory word based on your gender. It boggles my mind that feminists use words like Karen. It only makes sense because they're white.
Of course. But I also feel like there is like some room to play a bit lah. You know what I mean? Like those kind of things are playful. Like it's not so serious. It's not like saying the N-word. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that is too far.
No, but if you go to like these protests, they use it as a boomer, Karen. It's based on your gender, based on your based on your gender, based on your age, and it's used as derogatory. Like I've spoken to people, and if I sound a bit too traditional, okay, boomer. It can be. I personally don't think that. I believe that I should not be too sensitive about things that a lot of it is my personal ownership, right?
Yeah.
But I just feel like why does it
like
apply?
Where's the line?
Why does it apply here but it doesn't apply here?
I can see where you're coming from. Is that like, okay, if you are the oppressor, you can't use any of these words. Like you just can't say anything. But if you're the people being oppressed, like okay, boomer, Karen, like I don't what are some of the other words they use? Like I don't know, like whatever kind of stuff that they use, that it's okay.
Yeah.
Coming from
the
that
latest one I heard is like girls who are want guys' attention too much.
Pick me girls. Yeah.
Again, it's something really just based on
no,
gender.
but like I feel like within the female like experience, like the pick me thing is real
Sure, and it's fine as long as it's an observable thing, not used as derogatory.
Yeah.
If you use it to insult a girl, you're basically insulting her based on her gender.
But then like how do we decide like what's okay and what isn't? We've decided that we shouldn't call each other bitch, but like women have reclaimed that word a little bit with each other, with the gay boys, like stuff like that. Like it's fun. It's all fun.
Yeah.
But then if a straight man were to say it to me seriously, I would be like, I mean,
so
I would
intention
still,
really matters. Yeah, I agree with you.
Like you can play. I feel like there's room for play.
To be honest, I have friends who are girls who I'm very close to, and
you call them a bitch. Yeah, and
but
you can laugh.
Because we have that relationship. Like yesterday, one of my friends, this girl, it was so funny. She sent me a video on Instagram of this advertisement for like shaving. So like all these Indian men shaving off their chest. They're selling like a trimmer lah. I was like, you bitch lah.
Yeah, it's fine. And I guess you're right. Like everything does come down to intention. But I had this conversation with my friend recently, and we were like we had gotten into an argument, or we had been having some tension. I was saying, oh, my intentions have been good, and I've been trying to do this, but you've been pursuing, and then I read somewhere that someone was like, how long do I have to deal with the after effects of your good intentions? And I was like, also that's true. Like sometimes like people like put like, I say this with good intention, I say it with good intention, but the impact is different. So where do you think that like...
There definitely needs to be a balance.
You know, what's the balance?
We talk about cancel culture, and whether cancel culture is real or not. I don't consider people like Dave Chappelle cancelled. Obviously, that
He's not. Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. Joe Rogan can't be cancelled.
Even the Kardashians can't be cancelled.
Their following is too big.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about like professors in universities. They can be cancelled. One professor, I've mentioned this example in my podcast a few times. Can't remember his name now, but he's a USC professor.
My sister went to USC. Okay, what the heck?
USC professor. Yeah. He was teaching business communications.
Okay.
And so it was a Zoom class, and he was teaching about filler words in different languages, right? So he was teaching about Mandarin filler words. There's a Mandarin word, you know, nika, where it's like a filler word. Any Chinese here? No.
Then?
Right? Right?
He's just nodding.
Yeah, there's a filler word, right? Nika. It sounded too much like the N-word.
Yeah.
That was not his intention.
Yeah.
It was not. He was teaching an actual word. So the next day, the MBA students, so the black MBA students, that's how they penned the letter. They said they were offended, insulted, hurt, and he got suspended. Then what happened was the Chinese students were like, "Why? It doesn't make sense." So there was a Chinese black caucus. They were like, it's a normal word. He was using it within context.
Wow.
No, but this is how crazy it's become.
I mean, America
and that guy, that is a real cancelling. You know?
Yeah, but but I guess I would say that like, is he cancelled? What was the outcome now? Is he teaching still?
I think he went back to teaching.
But that's also what I mean is that like, even within that example, it's like in that 2 weeks he was cancelled. Yeah. And then after that, he probably is teaching again because it's probably...
Yeah, but it might not necessarily work out that way, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It might not. I can give you so many other examples
where it does end their career. Because I feel like that is a cancel. Like you know, like nowadays, what's his name? Kevin Spacey. He doesn't work in Hollywood anymore. He's cancelled. Like Bill Cosby is completely cancelled.
Yeah. And I think that I
as
understand.
they should.
I understand
as they
why.
should. Those kind of things should be cancelled.
Yeah.
But then, like for example, like Amber Heard. She's cancelled to a certain degree.
Maybe a bit too soon to say lah.
Maybe it is. But at least in the court of public opinion, she's been cancelled. But I kind of feel like that was a story of toxic relationship.
Yeah, for sure.
And why are we all saying, you know, why does Johnny Depp get the pass and she doesn't? And that's what I mean. It's like it's just public opinion.
Yeah, but I think the reason why people are so upset at Amber Heard is because Amber Heard tried to play the victim.
And also she's just so unlikable. Like she's an unlikable victim.
She tried to jump on the Me Too movement.
Yeah.
When hers was a toxic relationship.
Yeah, but
and that's why it's so much more horrible what she did.
No, completely. But I also like I gotta stand up a little bit for Amber Heard because I feel like the way in the pursuit of a lot of woke people being like, we support men too, we believe men too, they forgot about believing her as well. Like that's the notion about survivors, is that like, because so much of the world immediately questions your like your reliability and whether you're telling the truth or not, that if you can just believe them first, and then if they're proved otherwise, okay, fine, I was wrong. But we don't have the same idea when it comes to like somebody robs me in my car. You're not gonna immediately say I'm lying. But if I say, oh, that guy grabbed my ass, somebody might say I'm lying immediately. And it's just change it that we believe survivors first. And then we can ask for proof. There's nothing wrong with asking for proof, but let's believe them first.
Yeah, I agree with you. So I think that's why I agree with you. I think we can say that, like I think if women are not taken seriously when they file a complaint, I think that's very bad.
Yeah.
But I think if you are saying and maybe this is more the extreme view, that you need to believe them irrespective of evidence.
No, that's not.
Wrong.
Yeah,
that is
completely.
Really wrong.
I completely agree, because then what are you believing? That's when things can get messy. But with Amber Heard, it was like on TikTok, people are like taking the voiceover of her talking about her being raped and like saying like, I would love Johnny Depp to do that to me, and he's like, that's not funny. Like, why? How is that funny? Because we want to support, in the process of supporting, being in line with the Me Too movement and supporting men, we stopped supporting
I'm definitely
women.
not a Johnny Depp supporter, especially because I have a legal background. So I will look at the case a bit differently as well. But I understand why people were
he's so much more likable than her. That's just a fact. She's so unlikable. Like,
but I really also think it's because she tried to. People hate hypocrites.
Yeah.
That's what this is also the downfall of a lot of religious institutions, right?
Yeah.
When we see a pastor who's had a affair, we hate it, or there's such a public outcry because it's hypocrisy. You are someone who preaches this, but it's not true.
Yeah.
So I think hypocrisy was also a big part of that.
For sure. She really, I feel bad for her lah. Honestly, I can't imagine that. And that whole thing shouldn't have been publicized. That's what I think. It was too personal. Like, it wasn't for us to know.
Yeah. But the sad thing is people don't take away actually how toxic relationships can become. I feel that is the biggest. Like, you see, people are saying, Johnny Depp's exes have come and they've said he never treated them that way.
That doesn't mean anything.
When a relationship is truly toxic, it brings out the worst
in both
versions. People. I know one person, a friend who was the nicest guy I've ever met in my life. Everybody thinks he was nice. He was in such a toxic relationship, and this girl, his partner, also did a lot of crazy things. But then he started to hit her.
Oh fuck
yeah. Right? And that shook me literally to my core, because this was someone who...
It's your friend.
A friend I've known for years. And I realized how, toxic, a real toxic relationship. You watch those like, those cases where like the girl texts the guy and wants him to commit suicide, and then he commits suicide.
Oh yeah.
You ask yourself like how, or like you see like the guy goes and like strangles the girl. They seem to have this perfect relationship.
Yeah.
But and the people are like, they were perfect. He's so nice.
Who's
she's so nice.
Know? Yeah.
But like a real toxic relationship, when there's real deep insecurity, it can really change people.
Yeah, of course.
Or bring out the worst that we have buried deep down.
Yeah, completely. I was in a toxic relationship, not that bad, but it did bring out a lot of stuff in me that I didn't like about myself. And you know what I mean? Like, you just kind of, and then you have to get out of it so you don't become that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole, like from a legal standpoint, how did that, can I ask you this?
Yeah, sure.
About Johnny Depp and Amber Heard? Like,
yeah, can. As a Malaysian lawyer, I'm not really, I don't have experience
how did it look? From a legal stance, like, how did it come across?
No, it was weird because Johnny Depp's case was a defamation case.
Yeah.
So the case is whether what Amber Heard said was true or not. And as the evidence, people were excited about evidence that had nothing to do with defamation. You know?
Yeah.
So that's what to me struck me as weird, in the sense that I think you all don't understand. And it really became more like you said, court of public opinion.
Yeah.
If Johnny Depp had lost the case, he still would have won.
He still won, yeah.
Yeah. So
he couldn't have lost. Like, everybody just suddenly loves Johnny Depp again. All his contracts, he got it back. Like, he kind of came out of that unscathed, and I doubt that Amber Heard will work for a while in Hollywood.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. Who knows? Maybe Aquaman 2, she'll still... has that come out already?
Has it? I don't know.
I hated the first one. I almost left the cinema.
I only watched halfway through.
I only watched it for Jason Momoa, and after that, the appeal, it wasn't enough. So wait, back to your show, Rumah Roy. So you started it with your friend at first, right?
Jeremy,
Jeremy and his brother would also come on.
Yeah, Samuel will come on once in a while. Yeah,
and then he left to do his masters, right?
Yeah, Jeremy went to
Oxford?
Cambridge. Yeah.
And how was it? Like, you kind of had like a buddy to do it with, and then now you're doing it more on your own. How was that transition?
Yeah, it was very intimidating. I was very, very worried because I am not the most articulate person.
Really?
Yeah.
I find that hard to believe.
Listen to my podcast episodes. I can give you a good example. When I was talking to MJ, I was like, the woke show. Then he was like, isn't the woke up show? I was like, no, I think it's the woke show. Then we checked it and confirmed, it's the woke up show. Yeah. I still said woke show after that reason. I'm like, why are you so stupid? But anyway, so like Jeremy was like a safety blanket. He would like stop things from, he would correct me, or he would make sure I use the right words. But you just kind of get up and move on. And at the same time, I had other people, Jane and Sharon, who were more the, doing the sound and after videography. So it was still quite fun. But yeah, I mean, Jeremy's coming back in the end of the year, so we'll see.
That's fun.
But he got offered I don't know whether this is too personal, but anyway, he got offered a PhD.
I mean, I don't think anybody's watching. Maybe they will. Jeremy might watch this
Jeremy
episode.
might watch it. Sorry, Jeremy.
Sup,
I don't know whether I was
Jeremy?
not supposed to say that, but he offered a PhD, so I don't know whether he's going to take it up.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, I don't know whether he's going to take it up or whether he's going to come back. But anyway, so we'll see how it goes. And also, like, oddly enough, me and Jeremy are very different people. Like, Jeremy is a full-blown Marxist. Like a full-blown Marxist. And I'm very far from that.
So you were saying, right, when I first asked you and I messaged you about this, trying to say you're socially conservative.
Yeah.
So what do you mean by that?
I think when I look at things, like, I don't look at tradition as necessarily a bad thing. Like, I look at tradition as if it lasted this long, there might be a good, but some things might be outdated. So there's this thing called, I don't know whether you heard Chesterton's fence. G.K. Chesterton was this kind of like a famous writer in the UK. C.S. Lewis and Tolkien used to read G.K. Chesterton.
Okay.
So Chesterton has this kind of, and Chesterton is also
Did you talk about this on one of your podcasts?
Maybe,
I kind of feel like I remember you saying this.
So, but anyway, Chesterton has this sort of this allegory or analogy where two people are walking and they see a fence. And then the one person says, let's just remove the fence. And then the other person is like, maybe we should ask ourselves why the fence is there. That's kind of how I describe myself. If there's something, like there's a status quo, I would ask myself first, why is it there? What does it, what function does it serve? And if it doesn't serve that function anymore, okay, throw it out. Whereas I feel with a lot of like more liberal...
you think they don't ask the why?
I think they think like everything is oppression. I think everything is bad. Everything is like sexist, racist. Everything is the big trying to control the small. So everything we do, everything we start from fresh. And I think when you do that, you're going to encounter a lot of problems.
New problems.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's also like my gripe with like the woke culture, because it's like, it is a spectrum, and I try think within woke and being more left leaning, I still sit in the middle of that. Like I'm not, I would say I'm more far left than any other thing that I could classify myself, but like, I just think that there is also, we need to have a lot of space. There's a lot of space for the gray area, a lot of space for I can be wrong, you can be wrong. And I also very strongly believe in agree to disagree. Unless it's like hate. Unless it's like straight up like, I hate Indian people. Then I'm like, huh? Yeah. How can you say that? Like that's a ridiculous thing to say. Like you can hate one Indian person, I'll be okay with that. But like those kind of statements, I just can't.
But there's the thing, this is my problem. I feel like it's more on the left. I feel like conservatives have a lot of issues. One issue that's particular, I feel, to the left is that you don't agree to. A lot of them don't agree to disagree. This is because again they look like we're talking about whether people get cancelled. Like there are also professors like there was that professor John Christakis and his wife Erica Christakis. They were Yale professors. They were very good professors. You know, they were given awards. They were really well loved in their respective classes. But because it was Halloween and Yale sent a circular to lecturers to tell them to remind the students to be careful about what they wear. It must be PC politically correct. So the Erica wrote back, said like, they're kids. It's okay for them to be a bit crazy and be challenging and provocative. And that letter, her response got leaked. And all these college campus students, you know, harassed them until they had to resign.
I'm not surprised.
And if you watch those videos, right, this is why something struck me as weird. There's no agree to disagree. They are like shouting at them and saying, you have oppressed me, you...
Like, they're like, oh, in you saying that, you're saying it's okay to do blackface, pretty much. Like that. It's like taking it to that level.
Yeah.
But I also think I went to a university that was extremely liberal. Like, you think far left and then take two steps further.
What university did you go to?
It's called Fordham University in New York. It's like a liberal arts college, so it's just like... And I was just like, I went in deep and I kind of loved it. I was like, oh my God, I've never seen anything like this before. But it was like, you are kind of in this, like, everybody's thinking the same. Everybody's the same. Everybody is super woke and super PC and they don't want to say the wrong thing. And like, even if you're like to speak in like a group meeting or something, so careful that you don't say the wrong thing. And so I can imagine being in that situation, like, in the perspective of the students, like you're in it so deep, and then a professor of an old professor says this, like you're just waiting to say something and do something that I don't think it's right. I don't think that's right, because maybe professor should have been able to elaborate and explain what they meant.
No, that's the sad thing. If you really watch those videos, it's really insane.
Yeah.
Because these professors are left professors.
Yeah. I mean, if you're in Yale.
Yeah. And they're trying to explain it in you know what he was saying? He was saying like, I believe in like a shared humanity. I believe in a shared experience. I believe in a common good. But we need an intellectual space to discuss. And then they were like, this is not an intellectual space. This is about my home. It's such an emotional, it comes from such a place of anger.
But you know what I think it is that like a lot of, and I think this is across the board, it doesn't matter what beliefs you have, is that people get very personal. It's hard to have a conversation. Like what she was saying was not personal, you know, but wearing the costumes. Obviously, don't freaking do blackface and don't dress up as an Asian person or whatever. Like just don't do that. We know that we don't do that anymore. Or we should have never done it to begin with. But like these people are like we all have this like thing within us to take it so personally and say, and you can say like, don't make it personal, and then immediately say something personal because like that they feel like that is the only way to kind of get the point across. And that's what you're saying. It's like it's not about this. This is my home. It just becomes so personal that's why, I guess, because a lot of this trauma that is happening is very recent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe in 10 years, it won't be like this.
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, there might be definitely it's a possibility.
Because for a lot of kids growing up, even I was speaking to my friend the other day, watched a comedy show, and this Malay comedian, like he immediately said "keling" as he went in the first line, and I was like, am I too woke? Am I getting like, should I not be offended by this? And I was talking to my other friend, she's also Indian, and I was like, what do you think? Like, do you think I'm being too sensitive? Like, I don't know, because I don't know what the line is. And she was like, when I was growing up, so many people call me keling. Like, I feel very offended by that. But her boyfriend, who's also Indian, he's not offended by it because that wasn't his experience. So you can see how that personal experience, because we haven't gone past the world where people don't use that word derogatorily, that we can't make jokes about it yet, and we can't speak about it without it being personal yet.
But the problem is, it comes back to this question of intention versus outcome, right? But
intent versus impact, is what they say.
But like I said, it has to be a balance, because you could say something that could offend anyone.
Yeah.
Right? And it goes to the other side. So a person more on the left could say something like, when I was growing up, okay, especially when I was younger, I was much more religious than I am even now. And people would say things like, Jesus Christ. And I found that offensive. But, it triggered me. Actually, that triggers me more than keling.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Because it was something so personal
it's
to me,
your religion,
right?
yeah.
But I had to think about it. I had to challenge I never told anyone, that's offensive. Because for me, it was like, I understood where they are not religious, they don't have that experience. So that's actually how I move in my life. So it is a balance.
It is a balance, completely. And I also don't know where, like, I'm still working on it.
I understand. It's a complicated issue.
It's a complicated issue.
All these issues are very complex.
So many layers, so many things. With the woke culture, at least, like, for me, like, I think that I want to stand in a space where, like, for me, being woke means, like, we are trying to understand each other better. That is my definition, and that is what it is to be woke to me.
I'm also woke.
Yeah. And I can completely see how it's not always. Sometimes I wish we chose a different name. Like, we could have woke up, should have play off like morning show kind of thing.
I understand. You have to do what you have to do.
And it is quippy, and I feel like this name has really, like, because we called ourselves the Woke Up Show, even like when I would watch podcasts before I talked on this podcast, it's like, the Woke Up Show. I'm like, oh my God, you guys are shading us everywhere. You don't even know me.
It's become so cringe, unfortunately. The word has become cringe.
The word woke, it is a little cringe, but you know what? I'm a little cringe too. It's okay.
It's fine.
But I do think that it's like, it shouldn't make, I feel like people feel scared. Like, it's like the word feminist. It's like the word woke. You shouldn't be afraid to say that you're woke or say that you're a feminist.
But that's why I think I'm just inviting all people on the left to really think, because these are not like just extremes anymore. Like recently, I think there was some research that came out. What was it? The Southern Law something Center. And it said that they showed that while Americans were becoming more progressive on a lot of issues, a lot of Americans now were more suspect. What's the word? They were wary of the term feminist, and this was across the board, Republicans and Democrats, women and men.
Yeah.
So it was a weird trend, Because on all issues, Americans are becoming more progressive, but for some reason, they don't like to be called feminists anymore. And so, people in this movement, who are full on in this movement, right, have to start asking themselves, what is going on? You know what? Why are people like Joe Rogan identifying as right or more right-ish when all they're liberal? Bill Maher, Sam Harris, all these people are now considered right-wingers. But when I was growing up, they were full-on lefties. They were, anti-religious, pro-weed, pro-LGBT.
Yeah.
J.K. Rowling. Oh my goodness.
I don't know, but I'm just like, J.K. Rowling is a hard one for me because I love Harry Potter. I read them all. I love it all. I love all her content. But that's another bigger question in my mind is I don't like what she has to say about trans people. I disagree with it completely. But I also don't know where to draw the line. Do we separate the art from the artist?
But you see, I think we should definitely separate.
That's my personal opinion.
Artist,
I just don't think that you should speak about trans people that way and all of that.
But I don't think J.K. Rowling said anything that bad, to be honest. Like,
what were her exact words? Do you know now? I can't even.
There were a few ones, but the one that I remember really blew off was she said that because I think they said persons who menstruate, and then she kind of mocked it lah. It's not persons who menstruate. And she was right, because if you look at abortion now, do we hear persons who have to go through abortion? We talk about women's rights. How was J.K. Rowling wrong? She was just saying that in our...
It's too woke, we're using all this kind of terminology,
and
all of that.
Sweeping women, her point of view, there was another example I can give you. There's this professor in Essex, Kathleen Stock. She's a feminist philosopher.
Oh, wow.
Feminist philosopher.
That sounds like one of the hardest things ever to study, because in college I took philosophy and feminist theory, and those classes were so difficult. Put those two together, I can't imagine.
Yeah, and basically she spoke about how she feels like biological sex is immutable. That means sex and gender are two separate things, but sex is still sex. And she was saying, like, in situations like prisons, you shouldn't mix, like, you should follow biological sex. When it comes to prisons, I think, I can't remember the other example she gave.
But I guess in terms of like that question, that I actually even wrote a paper about this when I was in uni, because I also was confused because like they're criminals technically. Like, okay, how much like kindness and grace should we show you? But also like putting a trans woman who is like biologically still male but trans woman, that's like almost you're setting them up to get killed. Like they're in so much danger when you put them into a men's prison. But you put them into a women's prison, the notion is that the women are in danger now because this person is there. But
so I feel like the point is there's a discussion to be had.
Yeah,
but
completely.
What happened to this professor? All the college students, the police told her it was not safe for her to go to campus. She had to resign.
Oh my gosh.
That's why it's like not just like.
But the thing is that like even though I completely agree that it is too extreme, I also kind of feel for the people who are trans. You know what I mean? Like imagine their life.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
I understand.
Like I think that like it's the reason why it is like this now is because we are all in it. We're in it so deep. Like we see like we just see a lot of these things happening. We see like women getting raped all the time. Like if even within a lot of my friends, like you can probably within 10 friends, at least half have experienced some form of sexual assault in their life. Like these things just are ongoing. I have friends who are trans whose family doesn't want to be friends, doesn't want to have anything to do with them. That like because we're in it, it's very difficult now. Maybe if the policies change, if the world gets better, it gets more liberal, it gets safer for everybody, then when we have we can have these philosophical discussions and we can have the agree to disagree a little bit more without people getting so upset. You know what I mean?
But the funny thing is, as a movement as a whole, if you want to put forth your movement, right, but you're not willing to engage in these conversations like what Kathleen Stock is saying, what happens is it antagonizes it's like you're gaslighting the other people, like, the group of people who feel like, it's weird to put a biological male with biological females, it's not safe. But we can't talk about that in college anymore.
I agree.
And it's gaslighting the group of people who feel that there's genuinely an issue here. Or even with transgenderism, when we're talking about children and how we deal with children who identify differently, we can't even talk about that. We can't talk about puberty blockers. We can talk about like how puberty blockers might not be appropriate.
Yeah.
Or we even like gender affirmative care. Is gender affirmative care the right way, the only way?
Yeah.
These are complex
And it's a new
issues. It's
issues,
new.
yeah.
We need to discuss it. But if we cancel people, we don't let people talk.
Yeah, I agree.
We just say that they are transphobic or TERF.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I just feel like I'm trying to.
I feel
because
you.
if the woke movement actually listened to my feedback and they worked on it, their movement would actually do so much well because there's an altruistic base. You're trying to make people
understand.
You're trying to help people.
Yeah, in having the conversation with someone who is different than you, you might learn something and they might learn something. I completely agree, and I feel like also for me, like that's why like I wanna like I think for a long time a lot of our guests were very woke. Like it's a lot of agreeing. But I always tell the guests before the show, I don't think I said this to you, I don't think I had to like you can disagree with me.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Go for it. Tell me I'm wrong. Like I'm down to listen, because otherwise like how are we gonna progress this woke culture, and how am I as a person who's calling myself woke also gonna grow? If I just talk to people who agree with me, I'm just gonna think that I know everything, but like there's no way that's even possible.
Yeah.
But I think it's also like the ability to have those conversations.
And I'm sure there are a lot of things that I'm missing as well. I'm sure there are a lot of things that
we're all missing. We're still young. We're still experiencing the world. We're still. That's why we do this, right? We talk so we know more and we learn more. But
and also in like a Malaysian context,
Yeah.
there's so much we can learn. Like the breakdown in discourse in America is something that right now we can deal with, you know. Like right now, a lot of the anger is towards the government, which is good because it means less anger amongst each other.
Yeah.
But if we adopt this kind of American mentality, if we adopt this woke culture at the extreme levels at least to Malaysia, we're going to really destroy our relationships already are tricky because we are so multicultural.
And also we are like, sometimes, I don't know if you feel this way, but like I will talk to friends or people I know that are like Malay, like, you know, obviously they're more privileged in this country, and I can see them speaking like they like if you say they talk about going to another country and like, oh my god, like I have to just like be so careful with what I eat because there's just like pork everywhere, and I'm just like, how do you think it's like to be Hindu in Malaysia? Like there's literally beef everywhere, and like it's that kind of thing that I can't help but feel a little bit like, you know, I'm just a bit.
Of course.
Yeah.
Look, when I look at America, it's crazy because white men are actually suffering a lot. You know, as much as we talk about privilege, but like talk about mental health suicides. I think suicides are the 10th leading cause of deaths in America. 70% of the suicides
are men.
Are white men.
Yeah, the thing is, I'm not surprised by that at all because of like, even though it's an American statistic, I think across the board, probably in most countries, it would be, I don't know if it would be the majority group, but it would be men. Because I just feel like for so long, men have suffered from this, like the misogynistic world in which we live in where they can't process their
But
feelings.
that's the thing, it's so funny because when we talk to men, we talk to them about their privilege. We talk to them about toxic masculinity. But we don't talk about how they are actually being impacted, how they are losing out and suffering. And we don't give them positive role models. If you talk about toxic masculinity, then why don't we talk about positive masculinity?
Yeah.
Which we don't.
Yeah.
We don't. And so we have so many like, and again, it's like a roadmap. We can see what happens when we don't affirm men because they end up going psycho, like these, you know, shooters, right? These mass shooters. They're so nihilistic about the entire world. You know, they, of course, a lot of them, their families have familiar issues, but then they are unaccepted among their peer group. And then they just do a suicide, but they want to take people with them when they commit the suicide. And, you know, we need to, people can hate on Jordan Peterson as much as people want, but at least people like Jordan Peterson were reaching out to these people and telling them, you are control of your life, you can be responsible, you can create an orderly life for yourself, you can transcend whatever thing that is in your life.
It's hard to talk about it. Like, I don't know how, like,
it's such a personal thing.
Yeah.
It's such a personal thing, and it invokes such strong emotions. But that's why I just keep saying that we have to be very careful in not just letting our anger take control, and we need to be really intentional in the way we dialogue with people of different races and different cultures. And it's so tempting. Like I can see a future where we paint Malay people like white people as oppressors, but we need
But the individual Malays are not the oppressors, though. It's the system. That's really my belief.
But I mean,
in the conversation about privilege, right? This is like how I was saying to you, like when I was talking to my friends about eating in restaurants overseas and here, that's a moment where somebody is speaking out of privilege and they don't realize. That's my thing about privilege is that I don't think anybody's a bad person for having privilege. Like, what can you do? If you happen to be born white, you're white lah. What are you supposed to do? Or you happen to be rich, okay, you're rich. Or you happen to be like super attractive, so life was so much easier for you. Like, all those things, you can't help it.
Or athletic.
Or
IQ, you could have a high IQ.
You're like all of those things. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But what I think is necessary is that you recognize where your privilege is. And I think if you can, I think I even said this on the Yum Chat episode, like if you can, use your privilege to help others. Like I was just talking to a friend and how her, someone she knows is not from Malaysia. One of them was from India and one of them is from Pakistan. And the girlfriend of one of the guys is Malay. And they said when they're going to the immigration office, they just dismissed them when it was just the two of them. And then she came, and because she's Malay, they managed to sort everything out. And I was like, that is the way of someone recognizing their privilege, knowing that the system is going to treat her better and using her privilege to help somebody else. And I was like, that's amazing. It's nice to see that. That it sucks that this person gets to have life just that much easier, but good for her to use it to help someone else. So that is kind of like how I look at it. And you said on that episode with MJ Ghani that like, you know what I'm going to say, right?
Yeah, I think I know what you're going to say.
Should I say it or no? About what I wrote it here. It's like how like when asking someone that it's demeaning to tell someone to check their privilege as it is to ask a woman if she's on her period.
I think in the context of having a discussion with someone, when you're in the midst of discussing something with someone, you're debating an issue, then you tell someone, check your privilege, and the person gets upset. I'm just saying, because you were confused as to why he was so upset and you were trying to frame it for him. I think the feeling is similar when, maybe, I don't know if it's a good example, but I said the comparison I drew
Sorry
was...
calling you out here like this.
The comparison I drew was like, for example, like you're talking to a woman and you're having a debate or whatever.
And
then you say, are you going to PMS or, because, maybe you should, being way too emotional. Because you're not engaging in the argument, but rather you're moving into something where that person can't really respond to. Like when you tell someone, check your privilege, how can they respond?
No, I think that I don't want to go into the conversation with my friend's boyfriend because he was not happy that I talked about it the last time. So let's not talk about it. I can tell you later. But in terms of asking someone to check their privilege, I believe, this is what I think, that if I'm in a heated conversation, sometimes I cannot, because I'm pissed and I'm fighting, I cannot see that I'm speaking in a way that is demeaning another person because I'm speaking out of privilege.
Sure.
So then when someone tells me to check my privilege, maybe I would get offended at first, but then I would also be like, oh, maybe I don't get it. Maybe if you're talking about Malaysian education, higher education, I studied in America, and I'm having all these opinions, and someone's like, actually, check your privilege. You didn't even have to study here. I'd be like,
Yeah. I understand what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
But I don't know. I just feel it's weird. Even like, again...
Because like with the period thing, it's like years and years of women being like, just having a bit of a mood and immediately, you're on your period.
I have a lot of girlfriends who tell me like, they'll be in a bad mood and they say, I was having my period. And it's a real experience that people go through. And so,
but like period, I feel like it's not comparable because period is like something that makes your life a bit harder and privilege is something that makes your life a little better. You know what I mean?
I mean, if you follow the white men, they have privilege, but they don't seem to be doing well. I mean, so it depends on what you mean.
Yeah.
Because apparently privilege also can create disadvantage. So
that's, I just think
that. I also get like kind of annoyed when people say like, you can't talk about this because you're of a particular race. You can't talk about this because you're of a different gender.
Yeah.
I again also find that like very like silly.
But don't you also think there's some conversations, right, that it's just not necessary to put yourself in? If somebody was telling you, this is how it is to be a Malaysian, this is and they're not Malaysian, and they haven't lived in Malaysia their whole life, and they don't really, like, what does your opinion matter,
No, but I think it depends whether that person is really well read, or they really have a reason for, or they are able to really articulate the Malaysian experience in a way that maybe, like if a white person were to stay here, they probably would be able to articulate the Malaysian experience in a way that you'd be like,
but it would also be form a perception of you know how white people are treated in this country. Like, it's different than us. You know what I mean? Different than those of us who are Malaysian. Like, there is still a lot of, like people, like, love white people and treat them better and all of that. And then, obviously, that's changing. Like, more and more the liberal wokes are like, okay, whatever, they're white. Might even be like, ugh, they're white. You know, like, that might happen. But I just don't think that, even if, as much as you can read, there's nothing like lived experience.
Sure. But I would turn it the other way around. Like,
because our lived experience makes us too emotional about it?
No, of course not. No, I'm just saying that right now, let's say in Parliament, I would definitely want Malay MPs to talk about the Indian experience, even though they're not Indian.
True, that's true.
You know, so
that's
when
true.
it supports us, I just feel like it's again not consistent. It's like when you disagree with the person, then it's used as a weapon.
Yeah.
Like we talk about abortion, if the man doesn't support you, then you shouldn't be talking about it. You know, but when those men, when Roe v. Wade was granted, they were all men, then no one said anything they shouldn't be talking about women's experience. It's not, just to me, it's not consistent.
It isn't. But I think it's also, it can't be consistent, right?
Maybe you're right.
Yeah. What did you think about the Roe? What is it, Roe v. Wade? What do you think about it?
I've always been pro-life. Like, I've been consistently pro-life since I was, you know.
I did not expect you to say that.
People, no, when I'm really pro-life. Like when I was studying in the UK, I would go for like pro-life stuff. So I'm really pro-life. I've been consistent. I never advocated for like, again, I don't care about America so much.
It doesn't affect us.
Even when we would talk about America, I never thought, or I never advocated for Roe v. Wade being overturned. But morally or ethically, I'm very interested in the issue of abortion. And I think a lot of people don't do enough reading about it. And I find that when I talk to pro-choicers, or a lot of people who are upset about Roe v. Wade, they don't really know what they're talking about.
In what sense?
Okay.
I have a bit of, actually I said it doesn't affect me. I have a bit of investment, like, and I care a bit more about American politics. My sister lives in America, I have friends who live there, I studied there. So I was a little bit like, what the hell? But also like all my friends and all of them, they are not impacted in the states where they're all in very blue states, so it's different. But please, I want to hear your thoughts. I mean, most of my friends are pro-choice. Most of the people in my life are pro-choice. So I very rarely get to speak to someone who's pro-life. So I'm down to agree to disagree.
Because it's such an emotional...
It is, yeah.
It's so charged right now that even when I say I'm pro-life, even when I frame it as the nicest way possible, there's a lot of people really believe strongly about this.
Yeah.
Okay, first misconception. My body, my choice. This is the biggest statement. The first statement. It is a false statement.
Okay, why?
Because even Roe v. Wade, every trimester is different.
Okay.
First trimester, women chooses. Second trimester, women cannot be denied abortion, but state is involved in setting out conditions.
Okay.
Third trimester, it's to the state. It's not your body, your choice. Even in Roe v. Wade, third trimesters is regulated. So the question is actually, you have two rights. You have a woman's right, and you have a fetus's right, because it's a human being. The question is...
I guess that's the biggest difference, right? Is the classify fetus as human or... not.
Or when there's... Okay, like, you can frame it this way. You cannot kill a baby, right?
Okay.
You cannot kill a 2-month-old.
Yeah.
Irrespective of whether that 2-month-old has a parent, doesn't have a parent, whether the two parents are junkies, whether that baby has to go to foster care, whether that baby is going to have the worst life possible, you cannot kill it because it has a right. It has a right to live.
Yeah, okay.
So now, if I take that back, I go 9 months in womb.
Okay.
Okay. Does it have a right? So the question is not about body autonomy.
Okay.
It's about, even in law we study, your right ends where my right begins.
But there's no consciousness, right?
How do we don't know. We don't know. I can tell you that at the first trimester, it has a heartbeat. At first trimester, it's fully formed. At second trimester, it can feel pain. How do we know when something is really alive? So the question, why I get
that's a much deeper question.
But I'm so frustrated.
Okay.
Because people will call me bigoted. They won't hear my views because I'm a man. But no one is talking about When does a life become a life? And even in Malaysia, I was so disappointed. The other day I listened to BFM. They had a segment on abortion. It was 1 hour and a half. And they got an advocate for abortion in Malaysia. And that entire, I'm not even exaggerating, that 1 hour and a half conversation, there only one time did the BFM host ask why are pro-lifers the way they are. And the advocate just dismissed it to religion. Just one line for such a complex issue. This is not a religious issue. This is an ethical issue. How do we treat
But I guess like
the unborn?
I think that like it's fine, whatever your own personal view is. I think what I really take issue with is that like the state, is that they, even in Malaysia, like, okay, if the religion says you can't have abortion, if you feel you can't have abortion, don't do it. But to blanket say nobody gets to do it, that is the issue for me, because it's like, because I feel like the pro-life and pro-choice in the terminology sucks.
Yeah.
Because like I don't necessarily know if people who are pro-life are also not pro-choice, in a sense like if maybe you don't believe in abortion but I do. I mean, I'm not gonna ask you your opinion if I choose to get an abortion. You know what I mean? Like, and
actually in America, it's very clear. There's a minority of people who are pro-life. There's a minority of people who are full pro-choice, meaning up to third trimester. Most people believe in restrictions for abortion, right? So they believe in some sort of restriction. But again, when you say some sort of restriction, you are restricting woman's choice. That's just full stop. So most Americans believe that. Because if you talk about a third trimester fetus and what a pro-choicer...
And you mean like a healthy fetus, right? Not one that is like, you know, there's no brain or it hasn't developed properly. Okay, that's what you're talking about?
Yeah, because like a pro-choicer would say that third trimester pregnancies are the 1%, right? But there are like maybe 600,000 abortions in America. 1% is still a lot. Now, those third trimester abortions, some of it is because of health issues.
There's no choice. And it's a tough choice. You know, you can only imagine if they wanted to have a baby, carried it to 9 months.
Sure.
And then the baby is just not going to live.
Yeah, but not all of it is that.
Yeah.
There are some, like I was reading one story about this one girl. I mean, these are liberal outlets. They're not conservative outlets. This one girl, she broke up with her partner at like, I think 7 months. And so because she broke up with her partner,
she didn't want to
have the baby. Or sometimes I was reading about why people have third trimester pregnancies. And again, to be fair to pro-choicers, this is the rarest of abortions, right? But some of the reasons are they didn't know they were pregnant, then they delayed getting an abortion, then it becomes a third trimester. There can be multiple reasons. But if you were to show an average person down the street a fetus at third trimester, it looks
like a baby,
like a baby.
But I guess like what I take issue with this is that like in the discussion of pro-life, pro-choice, all of that, we tend to go to the extreme. Sure. Let's talk about like the people who are in the first 3 months. You know, you had a one-night stand, you're pregnant. I can't do it. I don't have enough money. Like in that situation, we can talk about morals and all of that. But like, I think that if this person is religious and say, okay, maybe God gave me this baby and therefore I should have it, then they should go for it. But if this person isn't, why can't they make their own decision?
Yeah. Okay, you know? I can just tell you the pro-life argument. So if maybe your audience, they don't get this perspective.
Yeah.
Pro-life movement position is very simple. They just believe that a baby has a right to live. They just don't know when that right starts, because we don't know when consciousness begins. So the safest belief is
from the moment of conception.
Because sperm and ovum meet, new set of DNA, etc., etc. So they say like up to that point, there are multiple choices you can make. You can choose to abstain. You can choose to have sex with contraception. You can choose to give it up to adoption. If you have sex, you need to take responsibility as well and accountability for you're an adult. You made that decision to have sex, right? And there are other options available. Why do we need to go to this point? Even in a way it's framed in the US, I feel sometimes like if everybody knows that abortion is illegal and you're still having unprotected sex.
Yeah, but people get pregnant with protected sex, you know, all of that.
But we said don't talk about the extremes.
Okay.
That is going to be the extreme.
Yeah.
That's going to be the extreme. So even you can talk about rape victims, right?
Yeah.
But we said don't talk about the extremes.
That is the extreme. But yeah, that's true. That is both ends going towards an extreme. But I just think
I just want to say that I really understand the pro-choice movement.
Yeah.
What frustrates me is pro-lifers being portrayed as sexist, trying to control women, bigoted. I can tell you that I've been pro-life a long time. Because I grew up religious, so I had to ask myself, this is what the church teaches, why? But from there, it took me to ethics.
Okay, but I guess my question is that, like, for you, maybe with your partner and with your relationships that you would have this view, but do you feel like that view needs to be shared by everybody else?
Okay, so like, let's say now abortion is legal, right?
In Malaysia.
In Malaysia, around the world.
What will ever happen lah.
No, let's say right? You access to abortion. Another issue I have with pro-choices, they don't engage with this conversation. Is it right to have an abortion? You might say it's a personal decision, but how do you guide someone? If it's a personal decision, what are the metrics that they are following? Is it ethical, to abort? Legal is one thing. Legal is one thing.
That's just personal, though. You know
but
what I mean?
But it's important, because like I've known, like me myself growing up, I've known people who, I know two young women, they got pregnant out of wedlock, and their parents wanted them to abort the babies, right? And both the situations, because the women grew up religious or whatever, in their mind they conceptualize it as being alive. They had the kids. I know both the children as like they're teenagers now, right? There's a lady who stays near my house. She was told when she was pregnant that if she gave birth, she would go blind, right? And because in her mind, it's alive, she had a baby, she went blind. There's a big difference from someone being born blind and someone in later life becoming blind. But her son grew up as an adult now. But I even know
these are choices. You know what I mean?
But if we don't talk about ethically, see, the reason why they made these choices is informed by an ethical decision.
But I also think that like this episode will go on forever now that we've gone into this. But
that's
like,
what I said.
But it's also like I just say ethically, I should have the baby, I'm pregnant, whatever, I shouldn't have had unprotected sex, and I have a baby. But I don't have any money, my baby can't go to college, our government doesn't give enough for me to even take care of this baby, we're in poverty.
Yeah, 100%.
Wouldn't it have been better for me to have an abortion? Why does the child need to live there? Like, the child didn't ask to be born. I made a mistake. Why does this child have to pay for my mistake? You know what I mean?
Again, it comes back to an ethical question about how we look at life. How valuable is life? We could say that like a garbage collector who we might deem, I don't know what metrics we're using to say, maybe economically they are lowest, but maybe they're very, very poor. Maybe they had a tough life. But how do we quantify the value of that person's life, right?
Yeah, but I guess it's like, it's like even like the conversation about adoption, right? It's like the adoption system. It's like, it's literally trash. Like, so many kids get like sexually assaulted in going into foster homes, all of that. Like, my mistake is going to result in a child possibly getting sexually assaulted in a foster home. Like, shouldn't I just deal with the consequences and the emotional distress of having an abortion versus putting a child through all of that?
No, I don't think.
You still don't think so?
Literally, I promise it's true. Yesterday I was watching a video and they were interviewing people down the street about Roe v. Wade. One of the girls, she said, I'm going to cry talking about this because I was adopted, and I thank my mom for not aborting me. How do we talk about these experiences?
Yeah, I mean, like, but I feel like that is like...
I'll try and find a video I can
send you. I mean, I don't deny that I think children who are adopted generally are pretty happy because the parents really want them, and to adopt a child is so difficult. But I think there's so many children who just don't get adopted.
Where I can find common ground with pro-choicers or people who are maybe not so... who might disagree with me, is that we definitely need to change the infrastructure to support women who get pregnant, especially unwanted pregnancies. We definitely need to do a lot more. So even if I talk to other people who believe the same things that I believe, right? Actually, that's one of my dreams that I wish I could, like, if I was rich enough, I would start something like this for young women. Because like, connected to the church, I know a lot of nuns who used to kind of fulfill this function. But in this day and age, a lot of these nuns are much older now. So yeah, having a resource for... I
think that's also the issue is that, like, in America, for example, the same people, a lot of the similar, like within the right-leaning, they're like pro-life, pro-guns, all of this. It's like, these are not the children are dying in the schools.
Yeah.
And then you're saying you want to have more kids come and be scared. Children should not even have to think about a gun in school. Like, we never had to think about that. Like, imagine how traumatizing that is. Like, it's like, yeah, okay, you want people to have kids, but where is everything else to make having kids easier? If, like, we lived in Sweden where they gave them, like, money to, like, take care of the kids for 1 year, okay lah. You can kind of see where they're coming from. But I just think that, like, we just don't live in a world where we can pop these babies out and they're, like,
but we should strive. If we talk so much about woke culture and making things better, we strive for the ideal, the best that people can be. Then we should also strive to believe in a world where we can have the resources to support these young women. It's especially more tragic if it's a young woman who wants to have the baby but feels like she can't have it because she doesn't have the finances.
Yeah,
or doesn't have the partner.
Of course.
We need to have these resources.
But I think that, like, the thing that I still have to take issue with, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong here, because I feel like with pro-choice, I believe that if I don't want to have the baby, I don't have to have it. If I do want to have it, I get to have it. And that reason can be that my religion, whatever. I think whatever your decision, either way, as long as you have the ability to make the decision. Sure. My problem with pro-life is it takes the ability away. That's the only thing. Because I think it's fine to have the baby even if you don't have money, even if you want to put it up for adoption. If that's your decision, you go for it.
What I would challenge you to just consider is that in any case, you will have to take away some of the mother's right to choose. At a level, like when it comes to like third trimester, second trimester is already tricky. Third trimester, honestly, really look at photos of the fetus in womb.
No, I mean, I know.
And then if a 1-month-old has this right, it's not a magic show, you know. It's not suddenly in womb, 9 months, suddenly the right disappears. It's the same baby.
So, but do you think that is your belief that within pro-life that there should be no choice?
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah?
I would say me personally, I would say that I think all abortions should be illegal. Okay. I think, but I'm also...
No, I mean, it's your opinion, that's fine.
No, but I'm also like, my religious background is like even contraceptives are immoral.
I remember you speaking about this on... Yamcha, Let's Get It. It was on your podcast.
Yeah, it's so weird that Let's Get It, I spoke about a lot of weird things, but you know, contraceptives is immoral. But I would say that because this issue is so important when it comes to like a very fundamental right, life, it's like one of the first rights that you get, right? I think contraceptives need to be accessible. I think sex education, definitely we need to talk about it. But sex education, we also need to talk about the ethics of when does a life become a life. You can't just talk about...
But do you think we'll ever have that answer?
But people need to think about it. I feel like this weird kind of, gaslighting. Like, this is a big, you know, because men want to control women. No, it's not.
I mean, women are also pro-life. Like,
majority of women in America...
America is so conservative, honestly.
No, but the pro-life movement is led by women. It's like, you look at Republicans, right? It's more female Republicans that are pro-life than male Republicans. So that's another thing. Saying that men shouldn't talk about this issue when it's a women's issue. Women
but I also
advocating
sometimes feel like a lot of pro-life, like, this discourse, like, it kind of like punishes women for having, women for having sex. You know, it kind of pulls it back to that. It's like, stop having sex, stop having casual sex and all of that. And like, isn't that also a choice that we all get to make? Aren't we free to do so?
Protected sex lah.
Yeah, but it's like, you know what I mean?
I don't understand. We treat everyone like adults.
But protected sex, I mean, we also know, like, protected sex, it's
but
like...
But again, it's the extreme.
Is it the extreme, though?
We grew up with being taught that contraceptives were like 99% effective.
Yeah.
So how can we suddenly turn around now and tell me that contraceptives don't work? Something is not right again. You know, if you are an adult and you have sex, definitely sex is a responsibility. It's not a right. It's a privilege. Like, you don't just get to have sex. I completely agree with all of that. But like mistakes and all of that happens. And I feel like there is a certain level of almost like, you shouldn't have fucked lah. You shouldn't have fucked without a condom lah. Like, I feel like that is there. No.
I know what I mean?
You might, I don't mean this, you might be projecting a little bit.
I mean, maybe, but I just think that like when you pull it up a part of the like pro-life, like forcing, it's like you have to deal with the consequences. You did this, therefore, now you gotta have the baby.
I think if you would to talk to any like serious, like real advocates in the pro-life movement, real pro-life activists like Lila Rose or Abby Johnson, I think if you talk to them, and you a young mother would come and say that I don't want to have this. I don't want to give it up for. I don't know how to give it up, but I still want to have it, but I don't know how to give it up. They will. The part of their pro-life movement, they also have like many channels where they can channel these young mothers to help them or support them in the pregnancy, and also to help those children move in the right foster care, like adoption processes and all of that. So I think any serious pro-lifer would not just consider having the baby the end all. It's also what happens to the baby after that.
I think also that's a lot of the, at least discourse that I've seen, is that everything up until birth. And then it's like, whatever happens, happens. It's like, why do we care so much about children, about life, and the minute they are born, it's like, whatever.
I would say that if you talk to a person who is anti-abortion and they say that we don't do anything after the baby is born, I would say that they are just a casual. They're not really someone who's read into it. Like just how like my body, my choice. If you are really like if you work in Planned Parenthood, you will know the nuances of this discussion. You will know the issues with third, second, and first trimester. If you don't even know the differences between the 3 trimesters, I would say that you've not really done.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't how.
So you're just basically you're just like, the media has kind of told you this message, and you've emotionally you've connected to it, and you feel this is something like really wrong, and then you just kind of like advocate for it.
I mean, I guess I can't help but also project onto this conversation because I'm a woman, and if 100%. I were at this age, if I were to get pregnant, I would definitely want to have an abortion. Like that would be definitely my move, and I would say that with 90% confidence at this point.
And if I had a daughter, or it was my if I had a sister, or even a close girlfriend, I have a lot of friends who are girls. A woman rather, and I can understand why it's such a difficult. It's not easy to have a pregnancy,
and it's also it's the whole pregnancy is one thing. And your whole your life is affected forever.
Sure,
you know what I mean. And like to become a mother and all of that is so much, and it'll change my life entirely. And I feel like that goes like. It just like, you can't ignore it. I think that's also why people get upset with like when men have a lot to say about it. It's because like you just want, you can impregnate a woman and then disappear, and you might not even know.
Okay, this is something that I would be more than willing to support, getting legislation to pull these men back in.
Yeah, maybe something like that.
I would support that 100%.
Yeah, because it's like, I can't ignore it. I'm gonna be pregnant,
Sure.
So like,
of course, I don't think the extent of responsibility of a man should be dropping this young lady or his partner off at a abortion center and then he going over next to a McDonald's and buying a Big Mac. I don't think that is manhood.
It's America right there.
Yeah, but really it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Men should definitely be accountable. They also had sex. Yeah. They also got someone pregnant.
Yeah, and
they should also be accountable.
Exactly. I appreciate you saying that because I think that is a big issue, is that you want us to have all this accountability, but what about for the guy? They 100%. Also, and the amount of times that a lot of women, like, they're also pressured by men to not use condom during sex. Sure. Like, that's a big thing.
Sure.
So it's like, it's.
See, like, I can agree with something like that. Let's bring men into the fold. But when I hear arguments like, oh, what if we made all men have vasectomies? Then it's like, you're not even being serious now. It's a bit silly lah. But if something legit like this, let's get men involved. Now we have, technology has developed so much, and we as a society has progressed so much. We have the resources to pull men in if they do this, right? So let's do it. Let's go for it. We can check whether the person is actually the father or not. We have tests for that.
Yeah.
So like, what's the issue? Pull them in.
I mean, yeah, I guess you should do that in Malaysia. I guess if you are not going to legislate abortion in the country, I think that, you should do something like that, because it seems like us women face the consequences and that's it.
Yeah.
And that's a bit. But I still think, I'm still pro-choice. Sure. It's nothing, I don't think anything will really change my mind. But I do appreciate that. I think that my whole thing is like, what your beliefs, like, you can act within that and I will act within that. I still don't think like I hate you or anything because you're pro-life, like that's your belief and this is mine.
Yeah,
I think we can agree.
Fine.
We can agree to disagree.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. No problem. No problem.
Okay, is there anything else you want to talk about? Because our show is it's not that long. It's 1 hour-ish.
It's fine, no problem.
Is there anything else you want to talk about? Anything you want to ask me? Like,
no, I'm okay. I'm fine. I think I unloaded a lot.
No, I
feel
mean,
this was quite cathartic for me as well.
It was interesting.
It's good. I feel like this was nice because I finally got to talk about really because I'm trying to be sensitive to other people, and I know that now might not be the right time to talk about my views because it's so hot right now.
It's hot,
and it's counterproductive. So, but because I consciously just kept quiet, even though I see like really weird kind of, to me, like you've not really thought about this issue carefully lah. And so it's just nice to be able to like kind of talk about it.
Yeah, it was nice. Like, it's nice to talk to someone who is different, has different views, and I hope maybe you're not like you hate like the woke culture isn't so like.
No, I try
to like. I feel like even when like Yamcha came and I'm like no, like I want you to feel open and not unafraid of it because it's not. I'm not gonna come here to call you out. You know, I'm here to also listen.
You came off really well in that conversation with Yamcha sessions.
Thank you so much. And good editing, you know.
Because it was like just nice to see you understanding the nuance of these guys are very nice guys.
No, they were so nice.
And John really is like so sincere. And really hard on the sleeve kind of guy.
Yeah.
And it was just nice to you didn't just put them in, you didn't define them by maybe a mistake they made. Yeah. But you let their authentic selves show. You gave them some grace. Yeah. And there was a little bit of, empathy and forgiveness as well there. Yeah. So it was just such a
also on their end as well, to come onto my show, I thought like they came out with great attitudes. They weren't like, oh, Apshi, you did that video,
If everyone dealt with issues like that, rather than squabbling over Twitter, Malaysia would be so much more better for it.
Yeah, that's what I believe is being woke though. I want to give you some space as well. You can give me some space. Well, you can hear me talk about abortion and I can hear you talk about pro-life stuff and we can be okay. Yeah, that's what I think it really is to be woke. And I mean, there's some things, of course, there's lines there. But I feel like we didn't cross any of them, so we're okay.
We'll see. We'll see what the editors have to do.
We'll do some fun editing here. Well, Roeshan, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Please tell them where to find your podcast and all that good stuff.
The Rumah Roy podcast. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, all of that.
Spotify.
Currently we are just doing episodes on Spotify. I'm taking a little bit of a break, but we should be starting up back again.
When are you
soon.
starting again?
Probably August.
Nice.
August, probably,
That's exciting.
Yeah. So we'll have a few more developments. We'll see how it goes. Apshi will be coming on also.
Don't check me out. But yes, guys, please like, follow, subscribe, comment. Tell us if you like it. Tell us if you're pro-choice or pro-life. What do you think my viewers will be?
I don't know. Man. If even one person sort of like starts like reading up about the whole situation, I'll be really happy lah.
Let's see that. Anyway, guys, stay safe and stay woke. Bye.